as the last, so just with the familiar shot of the trains. But in the meantime, the national anthem.
Certainly a nice large field joining us. Great way to start the FBI 5-star event, part of the 2022 holiday, our Desert Holiday 1 circuit. Trusts are a journey for many, and the Goodyear Trust.
We have a new leader right now.
And first making their way in for our lineup for this class, and looking forward to seeing each in this, and say over 70 in our opening class here. And it looks like we're going to see Paul O'Shea as our first with Squirt Gun. Those that were following in Monterey just a couple of weeks ago will have seen us jumping indoors, something a little bit different on the circuit there. Jumping indoors with Paul O'Shea firing home as the rider to win the class there for the iCandy team for the teams. Of course, the team title, it gets ever close to the conclusion of that as well. We'll tell you more about that during the week, but Helios still keeping themselves at the top of that leaderboard. iCandy not far away, and this is going to be a crucial week for the teams as well, because essentially they don't want to let Helios get too far ahead. Next week as well, double points on the team, so also that makes things a lot more interesting as well. But Squirt Gun, a little quiet run down to the second fence there. I say time allowed of 48 in the first phase, 42 in the second. First class for the 5-star riders to take a nice spin around here. Squirt Gun. Paul just getting the horse nice and relaxed around the course here. Just a little quiet hold in the air. And then the Major League fence will conclude the first phase. I think he's going to be a little over that time allowed into that phase 1 time though. So just rolling on there through 7A and B, in fact, to conclude that first phase. So, yeah, going to leave him on the 2 time at 49.97. Time allowed 48 in phase 1, 42 in phase 2. So, just beyond that time allowed. 2 time there for Paul O'Shea and Squirt Gun. Finish on the double at 7A and B. Then the Major League fence at fence 8. If you haven't followed already, there was the, I'd like to call it a draw for the teams yesterday. It wasn't really a draw. It was a big competition. They were over at BMW, competing at the High Performance Centre there. They got to go with some real horsepower and see how fast they could go, under instruction, of course. And, yeah, lots of fun to be had in that. Have a look at the social media. You can see what was taking place as the riders swapped their saddles for a seat. And they competed to get to the top. I think Spikos finished the best of them overall, so they would be our team getting the number 1 spot going in for the draw on the team class here later on into the week on final weekend, of course, and then the last weekend is based on the overall standings of the season anyway, so no draw for that one. So sadly, no fun and frolics to follow with that. But Emma Marlowe and Cherokee on course at the moment for the Trelawney Farm on this 15-year-old for her. Finished well, of course, in Monterey through the 2-star classes with Frisbee de Vie. And now here with the same horse that she rode in the 5-star classes there as well. Finishing just into 11th spot in one of the classes there too. Emily's on her 2nd year, as it is only year 2 of maiden show jumping. We're glad to have her part of it. Should be okay for time. Yes, she is. Just gets the bend in the line to this Major League Oxer to take them on to phase 2. Nice, neat enough little cut across at the Marshall and Sterling fence. Just reaching into that double, has the first part down, or the back bar, and then they go round the natural fence that's been built in here. I say natural, it's been artificially created, but beautiful natural fence emulating the ditch down there, the grub or the Devil's Dyke, or whichever you want to call it. And they're down to the 4 faults there, 40.43. A nice steady one from Marlowe, and Cherokee to put them in good position. Has been a good team player for her team so far this season as well, finishing second a little bit earlier on into the season for her. Sean Jobin now, one that was certainly trying in the BMWs yesterday. Sean, the Canadian with Darius for the Foxridge Farm Stables, the 14-year-old Dutch bred horse by Warrant. For Sean on to his first season into Major League Jumping. It's with us in Monterey, of course. Actually finished into 5th place with the his team there, the Northern Lights, into week 2. But week 1 starting off pretty well as well, with a couple of top 10s finishes with Darius as well, the horse that was also, like several, they've travelled up from Mexico here to California, taking a little bit of a break. And now ready to go here this week. Just a little bit hesitant coming to the Calladay fence. Just bouncing and a little quite full of themselves, going down to 5. Sean doing a good job keeping things nice and calm down this final line. Final line of phase 1 anyway. It's going to be fine for time. Should be going on as he does. Some big money classes throughout the week as well, just to remind you of how that will play out for this week, as we go into the final 2 stages of Major League Jumping here in La Quinta. Tomorrow, afternoon class, 1 o'clock, will $74,200 in the prize fund there. Saturday, 2 o'clock appointment again for the team competition, and Sunday, 1 o'clock for the Grand Prix. Sean Jobin giving us the clear at 37.16, nicely ran for him. No trouble at all on this wonderful turf. Just dips a toe in there and gets round to put the lead up at the moment for the Canadian. Plenty of times this man's led this season. Had a terrific run here last year as well with a Grand Prix win behind them. Jordan Coyle. Centrico Volo, though, this time will be the partner for the Celtic Park LLC. The 10-year-old by Centerdell. The gem-bred horse goes back to Chaco Blue as well, as many do. Jordan Coyle, who's been once again a big asset to the team, unfortunately has that first fence, but this is not the class for them to really worry about this week. For the Spy Coast team, Ian brother Daniel competing here this week. Jordan with a nice win behind him too, with Picador in Monterey when we were last out there. Jordan just coming very quietly down here, having had the 4 faults. Just giving them a nice, quiet chance to have a shot through the double, and not too much to worry about there. Going to be a little over, just actually under the time, 47.54, just on the 4 there for Jordan Coyle and Centrico Volo. Carried on to jump that Major League fence at 8, but obviously doesn't count. So sees them on just the 4 faults. Natalie Dean and Akota M for Natalie, who's back on home ground here in California. Natalie on this 9-year-old by Toulon that we've seen a little bit more of this season. Looks a very smart combination indeed. Comes from the Marigold Sport Horses. Natalie, who's been pretty relentless in her schedule, finishing 4th in the recent World Cup qualifier with Chance Saint-Emel in Las Vegas. And just taking a little breather last week. And a nice opening win in La Sierra as well in early November, of course, when we were there. Just tipping into December now. Akota M, though, been just getting a few good shots this season at getting some of the bigger classes into the Grand Prix in Monterey. Finished 5th in the Grand Prix in Ottawa as well. And again, coming through here at a nice rhythm and pace so far. Very tidy over the Major League fence. Looking very much at home on this grass arena. Ottawa, of course, was on the grass as well. Smaller horse, though, with plenty of jump now, just cruising on down to the CP fence. Just cruises a little too much, just slides off that final fence there, and it is going to be 40.24 into what is going to be second place at the moment there. We see the Major League fence that looks so tidy, just a little rolling forward there at the last with Akota M to just flick that one away. Not too displeased at all, not too worried about that one. Beaming Natalie Dean and Akota. Luis Sabina Gonzalez now and Bemol Deschamps as the 11-year-old by Chef Rouge. Luis Sabino of Portugal, now been based out here in California for a couple of seasons now. Was for a long time stalwart of the Portuguese team through to World Championships, last one of course being in 2018 for him. Europeans in 2019 as well. And this season, though, has been on the American schedule from that point of view. Been a little bit of a break in that FEI schedule through the year. Didn't pick up again with the FEI classes until later on into this season. Little run here in Ocala, well, into Ocala to start with. Started off there, back into February, headed back to Europe, competing on home ground in Lisbon, and finishing 7th recently in the World Cup qualifier in Vegas. And has been produced through some good horses, including most recently Argan de Belliard that we've seen ridden by Lily Keenan, of course, through the championships, and Lily having that terrific run to win the Monterey Grand Prix a few weeks ago now. And a nice run around for Luis Sabino Gonçalves there and Bemol Deschamps, the Portuguese rider on the French ride. Again, doesn't take too much out of the tank and just sets them up nicely for the week. Bemol Deschamps, again, not had too much exposure into the FEI classes. Fairly new ride for him. Came from Steve Rousseau in France. And Juan Ortiz and Vintage. Now the 11-year-old by Verdi. Big jumping horse that we've seen a good few times this season now. Just been really finding their feet as a partnership throughout 2022. Just gets the horse's head back. Another big horse for him. Likes the type. World Championship rider in 2018 Vintage. As of course down with us in Monterey as well. Steps through without too much trouble at all. Vintage, who's been with Juan since really the final third of 2022. Previously over in Spain. Also got good experience before that, having jumped in some of the 5 stars, including Rome. And yeah, going to be inside the time at 40.5. And so going clear there for Juan Ortiz and Vintage to put them into 3rd place so far. Arturo Parada now, and 14-year-old by Perot. This is Pandora 258. Arturo was pretty quick in a car yesterday as well, as part of the draw competition. Here's a name coming up in quite a few of the early quick times. Was with us in La Sierra as well. And actually won the Grand Prix in the 2-star in San Miguel into October. Mexican rider who's on the Roadrunners team. A well-established partnership now. Just going to be okay for time, 46.24, but I think he's not yet. He's not going to worry about going on to phase 2. Doesn't need to if they don't want to. I say it is a $1,000 class. They're not chasing the big money here, but it is a really good chance to see who's with us this week. And for the riders just to get used to this lovely cushioned field as well. Well, more the horses getting used to it. Rodrigo Lambre, Chapelots. For Mario Notte, the 15-year-old. He's the Hanoverian, the other one by Chaco Blue. And rider on the Spy Coast team. And they've got a big week coming up. Potential there to stay in touching distance of Helios. Helios might have won 5 stages of the teams this year, but it's not a done deal yet. There's still quite a lot to play. I think it's just a 9-point difference between the teams so far. Yeah, 9 points between first and second. And second, in fact, is Eye Candy. Spy Coast down in third on 48. Spy Coast have been something like second 4 or 5 times this season so far. Rodrigo giving himself plenty of space to this major league. Oxford just picks up nicely through it, steadies down. And I don't think he didn't have the look as though he was going to go on to the second phase anyway. I think he's just going straight on and job done. So calling a day after phase 1 for Rodrigo Lambre and Chapelot. 9th of 74 as you can see. And Rupert Winkleman now, and Conrad 155. All actually already having a very good run in the two-star classes. Won yesterday, second a little earlier on to partner Tanamara Makari. And his only agony of the day has been watching Germany in the football. But so far, he has been flying high. We will see with Rupert on Conrad 155 now. The 9-year-old Oldenburg by Cristallo 7 to be exact. Rupert coming through more at this level. Is back into Europe throughout the summer. Quietly down on this 9-year-old grey. Easily enough. I think he's going to take a run round the second phase by the looks of it. Little standoff at the double. Brown advisory vertical. Just gets a little spurt on around the corner there. And there we'll see them complete. Rupert Winkleman and Conrad 155. Time of 24:03. And gives them a clear to go into the lead at this stage. I say it's had a nice run through the early classes here as we progress through, moving on into the 5-star. And in fact, final time 37:59 now confirmed. Goes into second there for Rupert Winkleman. And Conrad 155. Carrie Rufenau. Also Winkle having got married earlier on this year. Partner Kevin competing here this week as well. But Carrie heading into the 5-star classes. Love to see her back into these. Again, recent was he completing in Sacramento for the World Cup show there. And based here, not too far away from this La Quinta showgrounds here for the Desert Horse Park. Carrie with Mr. Europe. Europe was top 5 in Sacramento as well. Few nice wins here in the early part of the season for this pair. And then we saw them again in Vancouver later on into the year. Love to see a few more of the Californian faces, the local international riders joining the lineup here for the Major League over the 2 weeks. Of course, the biggest Grand Prix, as I say, will come up next week with the major money of that, but big enough Grand Prix this week at 5-star as well. Carrie Rufer decided to retire with Mr. Europe after phase 1 in this Amberway Equine 140 that starts us off. And so Carrie retiring makes way for Canadian Erin Ballard and the Esperanza Imports and Ilan Ferdas Gakia. The 11-year-old Dutch-bred mare by Spartacus. Erin on the Logano team. Little tougher time for the Logano squad in the team competition. They are 8th at the moment. Could get further up yet. 2 good finishes, you never know. 2 wins. There's space for that. Ken Farrington also here to potentially appear for the team as well. They could be bringing out some very big guns for the final stage. He's got a very good lineup to the team, just it hasn't quite come up with the results so far this year, surprisingly. And one win behind them, though. That was in Ottawa for the teams. Erin and Gakir, of course, that rode onto the World Championship team for Canada this year in Herning. Nearly through phase one without too much trouble. 43-2-1 against that 40 each time allowed. Kia, who was competing in Monterey. Again, taking a little break between those. 36-83 and new leader Erin Ballard and Gakir to go to the number one spot without too much trouble. Slickly and smoothly into that leading spot. And well within their ability without too much stretch. And so Erin Ballard and Gakir go clear 36-83, new leader. Sean Jobin in second. Rupert Winkleman in third. Quite some distance there. Second or so difference. Cat Ninja now and Jacqueline Steffens for the Eye Candy Jumpers, the 14-year-old now by Zorocco Blue. Again, been one of the big players for the Eye Candy team this year. Eye Candy second in that championship now. They were series winners last year, and it looked as though things might not be going their way in 2022, but now they've made a climb back and put themselves in a dangerous position for the current leaders, Team Helios, who are going to be very much under pressure. Team Helios, who didn't have the best run the second week in Monterey. They had a terrific run the first week with a win, but week two did not go to plan, and so closed the gap up again. Not much. There's a 9-point deficit between the two teams at the moment. Jacqueline on that same winning team alongside Paul O'Shea in the indoor in Monterey a few weeks ago. As she was on Cat Ninja to win. Ooh, a little steady into that double. To win in Traverse City. Back into September now at the Gold Cup meeting. And just going to finish on the 4 faults there, that coming at the double. 41.3 for Jacqueline Steffens daily and Cat Ninja, just finishing on the 4 faults. Erin Ballard, Sean Jobin and Rupert Winkleman, top 3 so far with Canada and Germany at the moment. Going back to Canada and also Eye Candy teammates, Amy Miller, Cristiano. Coming in on a high after also jumping there. Also driving those BMWs yesterday. Had a great fun with that one. Olympic rider in 2016. World Championship rider in 2022 with Truman, of course. And here with Cristiano that was on the winning team for her back into September in Traverse City. She, in the meantime, wasn't with us through the Mexican tour. She was up in Toronto at the Cricket World Cup show up there. Now back in action down here in California. Amy, who was one of the key players for the Eye Candy team getting to the championship in 2021. And one would expect to play a big part over the next 2 weeks as well for the team. Nicely on the changeover there, 44-2-2, so no trouble for time. Amy well into phase 2 now, well through the double without too much trouble. Leading time at the moment is fellow Canadian Erin Ballard on 36.83 at the moment. Nice cruising speed to the palm tree vertical. This might just squeeze into the new leading spot. We'll see. 35.3. Yes, they do. Amy Miller for the iCandy team and Cristiano now leading the way. So Canada with the top 3 with Amy Miller, Erin Ballard and Sean Jobin. Cassio Rivetti now. And another who's now mainly competing at a lot of big competition out here on the West Coast. Former Olympian 2012, 2016. World Championships on a number of occasions before that as well. Back in September in Paso Robles, and then into the competition, that recent World Cup show in Las Vegas too. Nadal van der Dorpenheide for Landverde, the 9-year-old here by Silver Star T. Not one I think he's had out before, in fact. Cassio confidently through the double there. Going at a very good pace here. And again, this is a class where a good opportunity to get used to that. Just flattens off as they get along at that at fence 11. The vertical there, just taking that with them. Yeah, not going to be the end of the world here, but a good chance to get some good experience through the week. And so there, just a little toe on that final last fence. Finished on the 4 at 34.93. And so into 7th place there for Cassio Rivetti of Brazil and Nadal van Dorpenheide. Reminder of the top few at the moment. Amy Miller, our most recent one to go into the leading spot on 35.3. Erin Ballard, Gakia into 2nd spot at the moment, and Sean Jobin in 3rd at this point. Just heading off into the distance to the sand warm up here. And there's the field we're on all week. Yeah, for this beautiful arena here at the Desert Horse Park. Wonderfully maintained by Steve Hankin and his team. And just our next rider on their way down. I think that will be Kent Farrington. I think we might have a little change around there. We'll see. as we're just getting a reminder, the top few at the moment: Miller, Christiana, Erin Ballard, and Gigia, Sean Jobin, and Darius. Yeah, looks like it is a little change around there. Looks like we're going to go on to Patricio Pascal and Cara Blue. And so Patricio Cara Blue, as we saw, go so well for the team back into Mexico as well for the Trailblazers squad on that occasion too. Previous year he was on to ride a winning ride in San Miguel. Patricio, of course, all a part of that Mexican tour taking place down there. With Cara Blue to second in the team competition in Monterrey. Top 10 in the Grand Prix there as well, on to that second week, I think it was. No, first week. Already wins behind them earlier on this year into Lapa. A 9-year-old here by Cabechon. It was ridden by Simon Nisri of Mexico. Patricio, a little touchdown there at the Major League fence and deciding. I think they're just going to take a circle. I'm not sure they're taking a circle, I think, before. Yes, they are. This Major League Oxer. Not a huge amount at stake for them here, so deciding to just take it sensibly and take a turn around there, as they were just getting to that quite how they wanted. A little push down here into the double. And just gets a reminder at the vertical, just looking to get them going forward here. Getting more used to this field. And so finishing on a total of 13 in all, 50.09 this time in there as well there for Patricio Pascal, of course, having that circle there. It's the 4 for the circle plus the time. 13 in all for Patricio Pascal and Cara Blue. So just a little change around in the order. Now we're going to go to Kent Farrington, Orofina, with the 10-year-old vying for fashion. Already a Grand Prix winning horse this season. Looked really good in the early part of the year and gone well. He's just back from Toronto too. Was there into early November and taking a little bit of a break. Orofina. Grand Prix winner in Tryon this season as well into October this year. And again, has been picking off classes neatly. Grand Prix winner in Ottawa, of course, for those that were following with the Major League Tour there as well. He picked up wins throughout Spruce Meadows, through the summer circuit. Going to be very much a partnership to watch in 2023 as well. But definitely note your books for, I would say, especially next week's big Grand Prix here at the Desert Horse Park. Just a little keen down there to 5. And with a super string of horses around him at the moment, ready to really, he's picked up a lot of classes this year, but real firepower as the 9-year-olds will be coming through for 2023. Just getting them settled into their rounds here, just again. Quieter off the turn there, and there we go, finishes off on 42.09 for Kent Farrington into 7th place so far with multi-Grand Prix winner this season, Orofina. Look forward to seeing those pairing in action over the 2 weeks here at the Desert Horse Park. And Kristen van der Veen, bull runs Faustino de Tilly, now 17 years of age. For the bull run Jumpers 5 LLC on this 17-year-old Belgian bred horse by Berlin. We've seen many times before, probably one of those prolific winners in the US throughout its career. Finished well in Toronto as well, second in a big class there. Horse getting a little bit on the more vintage side now, at 17 years of age, so being well targeted throughout the season. Finished second in a class in Ottawa. Similarly was for the teams at Angelstone. Love to see Kristen van der Veen and Frosty out on the turf here. And in fact, she was just coming in to have a little ride around and puts the hand up and says, I'm done. And in fact, we'll move quickly on for the rider who won here a little bit earlier on in the 2-star. This is Tanimar Makari with the ride of Ibchika for the Eichendorff horses of Germany. 9-year-old Hanoverian by Cador 5 for Tanimara. Tanimara now 23 years of age. He's second in a good class in Monterey as well into the week there. Nice and confidently through so far. Just moves a little to the left again, a little bit of ground here. Good turn up to the palm trees. Date vertical. And she's got a date with a good place there as well. 35 the time, going clear. And so for Tanimara Makari, it's a new leader. Once again, won earlier on and chance to win again. Ibchika this time around. And 35 seconds on the button there. So they will go into the lead as it stands. And so Carl Cook now, Kalinka van der Zoekmeet for Sydney Osby, the 12-year-old Belgian bred horse by Thunder van der Zoethoven. That, of course, has been a big winner for him this season. Won his first 5-star Grand Prix. That was at the Hampton Classic. On the winning team for the Helios squad with Caillou in Monterey as well. Of course, also hailing from California, been really consistent with this horse through the latter part of this year. .42.51 leaves them fine for time in phase one. And coming home clear. Fast run at the last there. And 39.73 Carl Cook into 7th place so far with Kalinka and Zugli. So no trouble at all for them, as is probably expected of this pair now. And look as though they've got plenty of speed later on into the week, where they'll be unleashing that in our big classes yet to come. But 39.73 this time sees Carl into 7th place. Still leaves Tanimura Makari in the lead at this point. Tiffany Foster now. Making a little move up the order. Tiffany, the Canadian rider, Olympic Canadian rider. And it's lovely to see her a part of this set of competitions. Major League team place on the Show Plus Northern Lights. And with Brighton this time for the Artisan Farms, a 16-year-old bike contender, actually rides a horse called Northern Light. It was top 3 in the recent World Cup qualifier in Toronto. Cruising so far. And I think done and dusted. At 43.1. Yep, hand goes up. Thank you very much. Tiffany Foster deciding to retire with Brighton. So she doesn't worry too much. And so Tiffany Foster moves on out, and we'll go on to Paul O'Shea. Second ride for Paul this time. Emerald van Voorhof. And so now the Emerald Partners, 14-year-old by Emerald. Last out at the Washington International in the World Cup qualifier there. And for them, before that, finishing well at Greenwich at Ken Farrington's show there on the polo fields. Nice win in Spruce Meadows in the 5-star back in July. Or with a couple of options in the big classes here this week. And again, will be very much looked to, I'm sure, to lead that iCaddy team for a potential win. Who knows? Ilios can have a lot to say about that on Saturday here. Or just coming quietly so far, so not going to trouble the leading time, but again, just getting a nice round into them. Just good shot there at the vertical, and just nice and balanced and easy at the last. Doesn't take too much out of them at all. Just a nice stretch over the finish, finishing on the 3 time at 44.4 there for Paul O'Shea and Emerald van Voorhof. So top 10 for them. Tanimura Makari still in the lead at the moment. Shane Miller in second. Erin Ballard in third. Gordon Coyle back on his second ride now. Picador. Horse that he's ridden a number of times now into the final stages of the team competition doing battle there. Picador, nice winner for him as well in Monterrey-La in the second week there. Team event second for the Spikos team in San Miguel. Neatly enough, and again gives them a nice practice ready for the team event later in the week, and that's not the nice practice they wanted. They were just coming in not as they wanted there, and unfortunately, he gets into all sorts of trouble. And two in disagreement, I'm afraid. Now, just listening to come back for the next time. There we go. I think that might be it. No? Got things back on a more even keel. And finishing better, going to be time there to add as well. So 32 in total at 69.48 for Jordan Coyle there and Picador. Went smoothly through the first phase. And we'll move on to, looks like Natalie Dean. Upcoming, I think, with our next. Yeah, Camilla D for the Marigold Sport Horses. The Alenrol by Kashmir van Schutasov. For Natalie on Team Logano. Winning team rider, in fact, in Ottawa. On to her second ride here, going nicely with a Cotrem a little bit earlier on. Easy forward, gets moving away from the double. Again, just has to have that little bit of energy to get into the double, just to get across the width on the way in there. Still, it's Tanamara Makari leading at the moment for Mexico on 35. And no trouble at all for them either. 35.9. Just nicely around there for Natalie Dean and Camilla D into third place so far. And again, not having to go too deep into the fuel tank for that one. Very neatly, very smoothly done for Natalie into third place at the moment. Shane Miller in second at this point. Tanamara Makari leading on 35. So not a lot of difference between those. 1OTs now. Kinky Boy is the name of the horse. It's a 12-year-old chestnut by Nabab Darev. Going back to the line of Darko as well. 4-1 from Venezuela, also riding for the Show Plus Northern Lights team, the Blue Trim LLC. Like vintage, because we saw him on vintage a little bit earlier on. Another big jumping horse with it. Tall horse. A little quiet in there. Now getting them going into this double. Again, has no trouble at all with the size of the fences. Yeah, through the double and not too far away from our leading pack at the moment. Lovely afternoon here at the Desert Horse Park, just cooling down a little bit as it does in the desert. Just a lovely temperature to be riding in at the moment, 37.95, and a nice round as well to put behind the 1 or 2's Kinky Boy, Van Hedge, Gildenhof set themselves up for the week on 37.95, and a clear to go into 7th place. Parada with his second ride now as well. Bacot that we saw go so well in Monterey just a few weeks ago. This is the 11-year-old by Lavalon, the Self-Francais for the Mexican. Also on the team for the Roadrunners. Of course, second spin for him now as well, as it will be for a few of the riders. Still the likes of Erin Ballard to come with another with Kalana Denfer. Bliss Here's the lovely Antidote to Mars. Gathers back up down that line to 5. And through that first round, just inside the time. I don't think he's going to worry too much about going on to phase 2, though, by the looks of it. And at 47.4, we'll call it a day there for Arturo Parada after round 1 there with Bacot. So still unchanged the top with fellow Mexican rider Tanimara Makari leading at the moment. Rodrigo Lambre now, and Hubert B, also owned by Alain Feder as well. This the 10-year-old, actually was ridden by Erin Ballard previously. Second ride too here for the Brazilian rider. Rodrigo on the Spike Coast team. Be interesting to see the lineup for the Spy Coast squad over this week. The usual faces missing with Shane Sweetnam and Lacey Gilbertson usually on the squad there. Rodrigo Lambre, part of the team that were gold in Lima at the Pan Ams as well, but this time around going over the time allowed at 48.2, so just picking up the 1 time fault there for Rodrigo. We saw him with Hubert as well in Monterey a few weeks ago, just on the 1 time fault for him. And so he goes a little bit further down into 24th at the moment. Bliss Here's Antidote to Mars for the Richside Farms of Las Vegas, Nevada. 12-year-old by Demontis Semi. Winning horse, of course, at San Miguel de Allende back into the first stage of those 3 weeks in Mexico. Lovely combination. Small horse with a lot of heart and ability. Also been on some successful US teams as well. Again, this might be a week that suits them. Back out onto the turf if this first week at the Desert Horse Park. Easily through phase one at 46.69. Bliss Here could be another big player this week as well for Team Helios. Yet to see what their final lineup will be. Carl Cook here, Bliss Here's, Ashley Bond, Eugenio Garza. Got a few options to play with. Eugenio, I think, actually going to come out onto next week's competition from his point of view. Got a few national horses here this week. And so it looks like they'll be coming out strongly using that group over the next 2 weeks. Just quietly coming home. On the 4 there at 47.92, and a bit of time to add as well, finishing on 6 in total for Bliss Here's and Antidote de Mars. A little bit further down the order, but that's not going to trouble them this time around. Tanamara Makari, Amy Miller, and Natalie Dean at top here at the moment. Harry Reefer once again now. Stender Folletti this time, the 11-year-old by Dulon. From the Morning Star Sport Horses of California. Finished fourth actually in Sacramento as a class in the World Cup show there, and actually opened up with a win there during the week. Second in the Grand Prix in Vancouver into August. And neatly gives herself space here, not too worried about the time. Should be good for that, all right. And goes on to phase 2 for Carrie. Little touch of the poles there. Mainly competing on the West Coast circuit at the moment. Just leaves a toe on the back bar there, just cuts a little early into that Oxer. Takes the second one with them there, but again, could be a big player later on into the week here in California. And a much better finish. So finishing with the 8 faults there at 42.42, so matches up with those. And Carufa Stende Folletti this time around just adds a title there as well for a total of 9. And we'll go into 17th place at this point. Erin Ballard back once again, at this time Lamford as 9-year-old by Kidam de Revel, the Saint Francais Kelana d'Enfer. As we mentioned earlier, part of Team Logano. And again, a little bit less experienced. This horse has been getting some nice exposure in recent weeks with Erin. Just jumping in some of those supporting classes in Monterey as well. Just for the four faults, come to their first season really into these big competitions. Finished well at Angelstone. It was ridden also by Rodrigo Lambre earlier on this year. The Brazilian competing the horse over in Europe. And just going to be on the 4 there at 58.86. And going to be time there to add as well. So a total of 15 there for Galana Denfer and Erin Ballard. And Jacqueline Steffens returning for a second ride now. Double C Stables Freaky. Well, there's 12-year-old by Darko. As I mentioned, a couple of options of which way she'll go with horses this week. I would hazard a guess potentially on the team once again for the Eye Candy squad. We say Amy Miller coming to join them alongside Paul O'Shea, such a successful group last year. Trying to get that formula back together to get back over the line for the finishing stages. These two final competitions of Major League Jumping. Of course, the final itself on double points as well. So as opposed to the usual 10 points for a win, 20. Not too hard to work out, but does make a difference. Just tips that final fence. And so bell goes there for Jacqueline Steffens Daly. And Freaky. Mentioned Amy Miller, here she is back again. Second ride for her now with Truman. Millbrook Farm and Overland's own 13-year-old French-bred horse by Milord Cartago for Amy Miller, who was riding this horse, of course, up at Toronto. She was on the winning team back in September with Cristiano for the Eye Candy team. And now makes an appearance for the final stages here in California. Truman was the horse that she rode at the World Championships this year in Herning. Team top 10, of course, for Canada. Truman, of course, taking her on to some of the biggest competitions around the world. Was over in Europe as well. On the team in Rome for the Nations Cup there for the Canadians. You didn't handle this without any trouble at all, yes. Just step through that final double. Easily enough for this pair, as say, good practice for them later on in the week. This may be the horse that she goes to for the team competition. We'll see. And there we go. Nicely round for the clear. 37.75, Amy Miller and Truman dropping into 7th place so far. Cassio Rivetti, second ride for him now. HF Farms, Chattanooga. 12-year-old by Cornet's Prince. Now for the twice Olympic rider, multiple World Championship rider. Chattanooga, horse they rode in the recent World Cup show in Las Vegas as well. Actually, once been ridden by Laura Height, who's based here in California as well, the US rider. Casio just picking up the ride through into July and then into the latter part of this year. Casio just going quietly at the moment. Just a little acceleration into the major league. Boxer could just come through here with okay for time, but I think the way he's going to go straight out the door. And thank you very much. All done and dusted after phase one for Casio Rivetti and Chattanooga. So, yeah, hand goes up, decides to retire. And smiling Patricio Pascal comes in. This time with Seringat. Also was for a little while with Eduardo Alvarez Aznar of Spain. Well, that Geir Gulliksen of Norway as well had a pretty good partnership. This horse for a little while. And Cian O'Connor. Penelope Le Provost. There's been a few different top riders involved in the production of this horse through. 16 years of age. Seringat, the 16-year-old by Chef Rouge. Still very much enjoying the competition with another top championship rider with Patricio of Mexico. On the Trailblazers team, easy teams up with the likes of Dara Kenny, Lily Keenan. And choosing to go on, 42.32 at a time. Pairing that really have only come together in the middle part of this year was with former Mexican rider, or former rider was the Mexican Alejandro Gottlieb. Or going on to Patricio. Gives that little shake of the head, little touch at the final bar there. Goes clear in 39.84 into 11th place for Patricio Pascal and Seringat. So still Tanemara Makari leading, Amy Miller in second. Natalie Dean makes up the top three at the moment. Kristen van der Veen now, second ride for her. The Bull Run Jumpers, another 16-year-old here. This is by Utopia. It's Bull Run's Risen. And now based in Wellington, Florida, originally hailing from Illinois. Already seen her with Faustino de Tilly in the early part of this class. Competed the World Cup Finals earlier on this year as well with Bull Run's Prince of Peace. Second time she's competed at those World Cup Finals. First was back in Paris in 2018. That's where fellow American BZ Madden was the winner there for yet another of her notches up and wins in the World Cup Final. She had a good run in Toronto with Frosty up there. Bull Runs, Prince of Peace also in action up there. Bull Runs Risen last out in Lexington. Didn't have quite the run there they would have wanted. Retired there in that World Cup class, but otherwise been quite a few highlights throughout the season. Finished well in Traverse City, top 5 there, and in the Grand Prix in Ocala back into July this year. Nice win for them in Tryon. Steadily ticking away throughout the year, and again she's come in, she's had a little ride around, she's put her hand up and said thank you, I'm done and dusted. Just, you know, there we go. Name read out, bio read out, heads on out. Carl Cook in the meantime on the horsey road to that win in Monterey as part of Team Helios. The fabulous Caillou for Signe Osmi, now 15-year-old biker Sal. This Super Grey that's carried him to a long list of Grand Prix wins. A very good season in Traverse City at one point with about 3 or 4 Grand Prix wins throughout the season. A little rub at that vertical. Easily enough should be for this pair. Again, this will be a good class for these two to just get an outing on the field. Get the feel of it. They've been out on all surfaces as a partnership. Saying went so well on the grass in Monterey in the team competition. Again, not chasing for the number 1 spot, but just pursuing a nice round behind them, which is what they get. Going clear on 41.76 for Carl Cook and Caillou. And so, hitting about the halfway point. Leader at the moment is Tanamara Makari. And Ibchika, A. Miller in second, Natalie Dean in third at this point. And heading in is Rupert Winkleman and Omar van der Hunters. As I say, already put a win behind him in the 2 stars to get him a good, confident run going so far. Rupert, with this 8-year-old, that's actually been going very nicely indeed. It was his team horse, in fact, in Monterey for the second week of competition. Just finishing off that first round without too much issue. Shay line up. I think he's done enough. Gives a tip and a nod and says thank you very much. And so all done and dusted for Paul O'Shea and Karistina HD.
And retiring is Paul O'Shea and Karistina HD. So retiring in that second phase.
And so Paul heading it out. Still Tanamara Makari leading. She's got another ride to come in a few minutes' time. In the meantime, Hannah Robson going to take over for a while.
Yes, Tanamara Makari now leading the way with IB Chika. Of course, also had a really good result earlier on this morning in the 2-star competition as well. that is who we have heading into the ring next. She's next on our list. This time though with Starfly.
Conception and design to installation. For more information, visit them online, amberwayequine.com. And the title sponsor of the 2022 Desert Holiday Trust. Trusts are a journey for many.
So the top 5, just to recap so far, are Tanimara Makari with IB Chica, followed by Amy Miller and Cristiano, Natalie Dean and Camilla D, and then Erin Ballard with Gakia is in 4th place. Sean Jobin rounds out the top 5 with Darius. Just waiting for our next competitor to come into the ring. Should be a second ride for Tanimara Makari. And we're around about halfway through this class. So we just have a short break now while we wait for our next competitor to come into the ring. As I say, we're around about halfway through this class. Absolutely beautiful setting here in California with the palm trees framing the arena, and then a little bit further out in the picture, of course, you can see some of those mountains getting a little bit hazy over there now in this afternoon light, but it really is an absolutely stunning setting, and this is going to be a beautiful setting for our team competition and the Grand Prix later this week. Well, all right then, everybody. We are now back with the second half of this 5-star opening class. This, of course, being a 2-phase competition, currently being led by Tanamara Makari of Mexico. Tanamara had another horse on our list, but she won't be bringing that forward straight away. We will just let you know if that's coming forward at a later date. But Jordan Coyle takes to the ring now. He rides Ariso. Ariso, of course, is the horse with whom Jordan won the 5-star Grand Prix at the first leg of Major League Show Jumping this year in Vancouver. Jordan has been such a very consistent competitor for the Spy Coast Spies team. Also had various 5-star successes this year, did particularly well at the Dublin Horse Show as well. It has been quite the season for him. Comes through the starting and finish times just ahead of fence 8, just after that double at fence 7. Picks up 3 time faults in the first phase. No second phase for Jordan. He's followed into the ring by Daniel Coyle, who rides for Team Eye Candy. Daniel was on the team for Eye Candy earlier in the season. And he rides Ivory TCS, owned by himself and Ariel Grange. This is a 9-year-old Dutch-bred horse by Falaise de Muse. Just now heading down this final line of the first phase of competition. Not causing them any problems at all as he heads into phase 2. Daniel, of course, fantastic rider at many championships, European Championship success, also World Championship rider as well. Well, he just picks up 5 penalties in the second phase there. A time of 46.8 for Daniel Coyle and Ivory TCS. He'll drop just outside the top 20. He'll go behind Jacqueline Steffens Daly into 21st place. Still leading the way is Tanamara Makari, followed by Amy Miller and Natalie Dean. They are the podium finishers as it stands, but we do have a good way to go. Plenty of second rides to come. Anna Duff is next in, another rider for Ireland. Third rider in a row that we have representing Ireland, and she rides Interactive Mortgage Cajano. This horse is a 9-year-old by Cayetano. Just gets a little deep to the Major League Oxer at 6. This horse, of course, is one that we've seen earlier in the season, being ridden by Nicolas Gamboa of Colombia. Did well at Monterey there, had in fact a win in the 2-star Grand Prix at Monterey with Nicolas Gamboa. Well, with the fences down for Anna Duff, she will not be heading through into the second phase. Of course, in this format, they need to jump clear in phase 1 to get through to phase 2, and then they are judged based on the faults and time from phase 2. That's the way this competition works. Just a slight pause now while we just wait for our next competitor. Next up on our list is Kent Farrington, and he should be followed by Margie Goldstein-Engel and then Dara Kenny. So absolutely a great clutch of riders still to come. Niall Nassar still on the list as well, not too far away. Connor Swale is still to come, as is Bliss Hears, Ashley Bond, Alberto Michan, Daniel Coyle with another ride, Dara Kenny with another ride. Young rider Alexis Sokolov is still to come as well. So do stay with us. Well, Kent Farrington comes next, as you see from your graphic. He represents Team Logano. They're a team who've had a couple of tricky performances, but had that great win at our leg in Ottawa on an arena not dissimilar to this. Kent very recently took this horse to Toronto to the Royal Show there and won a 5-star 2-phase competition at that show. Also jumped this horse in the Royal Centennial Cup. But he's had some fantastic rounds with this horse, Ottawa as I mentioned, and then at our leg near to Toronto at Angelstone tournaments as well. Also did well with this horse at Traverse City back in the summer as well. This is also the horse that he's jumped in the Rolex IJRC Top 10 final for a 9th place finish last year. But he did win that Rolex IJRC Top 10 final with this horse Austria 2 in 2019. Already had 5-star Grand Prix wins with Austria as well. Looks like he may be feeling like he's done enough here. He's got a fantastic string of horses, some very, very exciting ones, which I'm sure we'll be seeing later on in the week. Don't forget, we've got quite the action-packed list of jumping for you over the course of this week. Tomorrow we'll be bringing you 2 more 5-star competitions. We'll have one at 10 o'clock local time, a 1 meter 45 class, and then we'll follow that at 1 o'clock local time with a 150 jump off competition. Saturday then we'll see the 2-star Grand Prix and the 5-star Major League Show Jumping team competition, and then on Sunday we'll have the 5-star winning round and the 5-star Grand Prix. Next up then, just going a little out of order, is Tanimara Makari. She is leading the way with her other ride, IB Chica, and here rides Starfly. This is a horse that she's been riding since the summer of this year in international competition. Had a good win in a 2-star class at San Miguel de Allende back in October. Also had a 5th place in a very similar class in Monterey. It also did well, coming 6th in a 2-star speed class in Lexington not too long ago as well. So they are pretty on form. It's not going to be their competition here today, just clipping the 1 pole at 7A. And so Tanimara Makari will not be heading through to the 2nd phase with Starfly. But again, I'm sure one that we will see later on in the week. It's just a 9-year-old and she is leading the way still with IB Chica. Well, we have an absolute legend of the sport coming forward now, a lady whose successes in her career have spanned many, many years. It is, of course, Margie Goldstein Engel, and she rides Royce here today. Royce is 18 years old. 18-year-old stallion. Margie's been competing Royce at Wellington, most recently jumping in the 3-star Grand Prix there. Also jumped at New York on Governor's Island in one of the 5-star classes there. Also at Tryon and in Ottawa, Toronto and Traverse City at the Major League Show Jumping Legs. Margie is currently 63rd in the Longines World Rankings. But of course, what this lady hasn't done is hardly worth mentioning. Pan American Games, World Equestrian Games, Olympic Games, of course, in the year 2000 in Sydney, and too many World Cup finals to mention. Just an incredible result. Her first World Cup final, in fact, was in 1988. Well, she's going to save Royce for another day. She's got a couple of great horses here this week, and I'm sure Margie will be looking forward to getting these horses out in some of the competitions later in the week. Fantastic opportunity today for them to have a jump around this ring, really just get the feel for the setting, get the feel for the arena, and get the horses into a rhythm and happy on this ground. Beautiful arena out there in this stunning grass ring. Next up, though, another very top international rider. It's Dara Kenny with Chic Chic. Dara, of course, rides for Ireland. Rides this horse owned by the Vlock Show Stables. Also been a rider on the Trailblazers in recent times, and has really made a difference to their squad. Jumped well for them in Monterey. Trailblazers with 4 new riders on their squads. He jumped this horse for a 6th place finish in a 3-star speed class at Wellington most recently. Also jumped very well at New York on Governor's Island in the 5 stars. 2 top 4 finishers for this combination there. Also came 2nd in a 3-star Grand Prix at Centaur Park earlier in the year. But he's had 5-star wins earlier this year as well in Wellington. Did well at Shamarin last year with this horse as well. So very exciting horse for him, one that's been going better and better. Dara is 32nd in the Longines World Rankings at the moment. Just taking a little bit of a steady canter around here and raises a hand. We're going to be saving Chic Chic for another day as well. Horse has absolutely all the abilities and all here this week. Competition. He's had a look around. He's got the horse used to the arena, and that's what he came to do.
Next rider from Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Jim Ifko aboard the
Another Major League Show Jumping team rider comes in next. This is Jim Ifko. He rides on the Show Plus Northern Lights team, and the horse he rides is Un Diamant de Forêt, owned by Eventide Farms. This one is a 14-year-old French-bred horse by Diamant de Semy, out of a Papillon Rouge mare. Still leading the way is Tanimara Makari. Her time to beat in the second phase is 35 seconds. Jim's been competing this horse in Vancouver and at Spruce Meadows most recently. He was 13th in a 3-star Grand Prix at Vancouver at Thunderbird Show Park in September, and also won a 3-star Grand Prix there with this horse. Earlier in the summer he had wins with this horse at Spruce Meadows, 2 in fact at 5-star level. Also jumped well in the winning round classes as well, so potentially could be a combination to watch for that competition later on this week. Really great horse for Jim, very much one of his top rides at the moment, and one that's really getting the results in for him. A time of 61.81 in the first phase, and therefore Jim is picking up 14 time penalties, so just taking a bit of a steady spin around here, but once again that could well be his intention, that might well be the plan, just to give the horse a really nice confident run around this track, just in preparation for the latter parts of the week. Well, just to keep you in the loop with where we are in this competition, we've had 45 combinations come forward. 46th will be Caitlin Campbell with Feon. 73 are on our start list, so we're a little over halfway. This, of course, is a combination that we've seen at many Major League show jumping legs already this season. They jump particularly well in Monterey, coming 3rd in the 2-star Grand Prix there at our most recent leg. It gives a bit of a rattle at Fence 4, the Premier Equestrian Oxa, but that stays intact. She jumped this horse in the 5 stars at San Miguel de Allende, also at Toronto and at Traverse City, as well as in Vancouver. Former ride of Nick Della Gioia back in 2019. Well, a lovely clear round for Caitlin Campbell and Feon. Good confidence building performance there. Double clear in both phases, and a time in the second phase of 41.36. That will have her just outside the top 12. She goes into 13th place, just behind Juan Ortiz with Vintage and just in front of Carl Cook. Juan Ortiz is actually sitting in 8th and 12th place. Carl Cook is in 10th and 14th. So both of those have had some really good performances so far. Niall Nassar comes in next with El Conde. This horse is owned by Francisco Pascal and is by Filou de Muse. He had a great win in Toronto at the Royal Winter Fair very recently with this horse. Also had a good second place on Governor's Island with this horse, and he also took it to the Dublin Horse Show, having a good third place there in a 5-star speed class. Also jumped well at Dinard with this horse and had a 5-star win as well in Aachen. So a really great combination. Brilliant to see them here in Thermal in California for our 9th leg of Major League Show Jumping. Just going to retire in the second phase. Again, very much combination to watch for later in the week. Riding for Australia, James Arkins comes next. His horse is Eurostar 1. Competed this horse in the World Cup at Las Vegas very recently. Just having 2 fences down there. This is also his horse for the World Championships in Herning this year. That was James's first World Championships. But Eurostar's been a great partner for him. Jumped double clear in the Nations Cup at Vancouver back in June of this year. He's jumped in various Nations Cups and World Cups in places like Wellington and also in Australia and in Queensland and Victoria. A couple of time penalties then for James Arkins and Eurostar 1. It's going to be 2 for them. 2 time penalties, going to put him into 38th place for now.
This is Jennifer Waxman for the USA.
Jennifer Waxman's up next with Lavallino Terclomp. Again, she went to the World Cup show at Las Vegas recently with this horse. Jumped a good double clear in the World Cup class there and was in the top 10 in all of her competitions there. In the top 7, in fact. She also came 10th in a 3-star Grand Prix at Vancouver back in September. But she's had wins with this horse earlier on in the summer as well at 2-star level. It's a horse that Jennifer's been competing in international competition since August of this year. It was previously ridden by Shane Sweetnam and by Frederick Vernet prior to that. Horse is an 11-year-old by Clearway. It's just going to be 5 to add then in the second phase. Good, the time being 42.76. So she's just a fraction over the time allowed in phase 2 as well. So it's 5 in total. Jennifer Waxman goes into 22nd place. Coming forward now, representing Portugal, we have Luis Sabino Goncalves with Vic du Croissy. This horse is owned by the Sigma Stables. And this is a 13-year-old by My Lord Carthago. Luis is also a rider on the Trailblazers squad. This horse has been going very well for him at venues like Las Vegas and Tryon very recently. He had 2 wins in Tryon and also a win at Ocala in the summer, all of those being at 3-star level. Also jumped in Lisbon at the Longines EEF Nations Cup show there, jumping in the 3-star Grand Prix. It's also been riding this horse since May of this year. The horse was with Marco Pellegrino of Italy prior to that and had great success around Europe, primarily around Italy with Marco. Well, a time of 37.28 seconds and a good double clear for Luis Sabino Goncalves. Going to put him into 6th place at the moment, just outside the top 5, and he drops Rupert Winkleman into 7th. That means that Juan Ortiz drops out of the top 12 with Vintage, but he's still in that top band with Kinky Boy. Connor Swale comes in next with Nadal Hero and DB. This one is owned by Manon Farm. It's just a 9-year-old and is by Canan out of a Polydor mare. It's a Belgian-bred horse. And Connor, again, is very much a competitor to watch this week. He's number 5 in the Longines World Rankings, a position he's held for quite a while. Again, being a very busy rider, jumping in Las Vegas. Doing extremely well there with Theo and Errol. Also had a Vital Chance de la Roque there as well. And Connor does a fantastic job of managing his horses' schedules, making sure that they're in the right competitions for them and manages their schedules so very well. That's why he's managed to remain so consistent in that top band this year especially. Jumped this horse very well in Mexico in Monterrey, placing 4th in a 5-star jump-off class. Also jumped this horse well at Spruce Meadows and at Vancouver. And he had a 5-star win with this horse at Dinard as well as Aachen. 2 5-star wins there, and another 5-star win at Spruce Meadows. So really extremely consistent, as you would expect from the world number 5. Never looked to be in a huge hurry, but a great round there. The time being 38.11 seconds in the second phase. Lovely double clear, of course. Oh, it's just actually going to be 1 time fault in the second phase. Just seeing that time being amended there. So 42.38, in fact, was the final time for Connor Swale. Means he's going to be just outside that time allowed of 42. So picks up 1 time penalty. He'll go into 17th place. We come back to a representative for America now. This is Mavis Spencer with Ecarlus BH. Ecarlus is owned by the Rocking D Ranch and is a Dutch bred horse, a 13-year-old. one that Mavis has been riding since 2021. The horse was previously ridden by Delaney Flynn and briefly by Nick Delajoyo as well. Comes here fresh from a win in a 2-star Grand Prix at Paso Robles in California. This horse jumps well up to the 4-star level. A little bit of a rattle on the back rail at that final fence, but it stays up. So it's just going to be 4 to add for phase 2 for Mavis Spencer and Ecarlus BH. 40.32, so the time is good as well. Clear in phase 1 and 1 fence down in phase 2 will put her into 22nd place. Our next competitor is a member of the Team Helios squad. Team Helios, of course, who lead the way in the Major League Show Jumping team competition, and they're very much a team who have been on the money many times this year so far. 5 wins under their belt already. And Bliss Hears has been an absolutely crucial part of that. She rides the Bridgeside Farms LLC's Goodbye here this afternoon. Second ride for her in this competition. Rode Antidote de Mars earlier on. Bliss, of course, was the winner of our 5-star Grand Prix at San Miguel de Allende. And she was 4th in the 5-star, in a top 5-star competition at Monterey with this horse Goodbye. Had quite an incredible run of top 10 finishes with this horse. I mean, the top 10 5 times out of her last 6 competitions. Also competed on the team competition a couple of times, helping her team to a win in Vancouver. She's going to get a nice double clear here to kick things off for her week. Certainly a result that doesn't surprise us about this combination. Very nice double clear. They'll go into 11th place with a time of 39.05. Just goes to show you how fast Tanamara Makari was. Still holding on to the lead with a second phase time of 35 seconds. Chaco Bumpy is our next horse in the ring, ridden by Luis Pedro Biraben of Argentina. This horse is a German-bred 12-year-old by Chaco Blue. Luis, former World Equestrian Games rider from 2018, also competed in 2 Pan American Games in his career, picking up team medals. He had 4 top 10 finishes with this horse across 2 weeks of jumping in Monterey in Mexico. And in the 5-star Grand Prix in the 2 weeks in Monterey, he placed 12th and 5th with this horse. So again, very much a combination to watch. Also jumped well in Saugerties in September for a 7th place in the 5-star Grand Prix there. Just also going to be a fraction over the time allowed in phase 2, so it's clear in phase 1 and 1 time penalty in phase 2 for Luis Pedro Biraben. Sean Jobin comes next, representing Canada, with Coquelicot Van Hitch Hoveand Z. This horse is a 10-year-old owned by the Fox Ridge Farms stables and is by Katoki out of a Cassini mare. Again, a combination that we've seen quite extensively on the Major League show jumping circuit. Fantastic to see them going so well in the 5-star competitions. They had a 4th place and a 7th place in the 5-stars in Monterey and a couple of 5th place finishes in San Miguel. Takes a circle then in the second phase, so it's going to be 13 penalties for Sean Jobin and Coquelicot Van H Hoveand Z. Slots into 32nd place. Ashley Bond is our next competitor here. Just looking for our timer to update. Oh, I'm sure we will have an updated time for you very shortly as Ashley Bond comes down this final line in phase 1 with Garfield. Ashley, of course, was the winner of our 5-star Grand Prix in the second week in Monterey. Very fantastic performance there and a very emotional win for her. She's 90th at the moment in the Longines World Rankings. And she's safely through well into the second phase here. Garfield, a new ride for her. It's a Dutch bred horse, an 11-year-old, formerly ridden by Caroline Muller. stepping up to the 5-star level with Ashley. Well, we have 2 Israeli competitors coming in a row. Of course, Ashley Bond rides for Israel, as does Alberto Michan. Alberto rides Nabal de Rivera here in this afternoon's competition. This horse is a 12-year-old by Nabab Darev and is Spanish bred. Alberto's had some fantastic rounds so far. 2 brilliant performances in Monterey, with Bugatti winning one of our 5-star classes there, the 5-star speed class, and coming second in the jump-off class as well, also with Bugatti. Now Baldo Trivera, those going from strength to strength with him. He had a win at Akala back in June with this horse. Took over the reins earlier this year from Jose González Pastor of Spain. And he had 2 top 10 finishes in Monterey in the 5 stars with this horse, contributing to 4th place as well for his team, the Roadrunners. They, of course, are the home team here in California, so they'll be hoping for a very good result this week and next week on home turf. He also did very well in the 3-star Grand Prix at Akala earlier on in the year, placing 7th. Sails over the final fence, and it's a great double clear to kick off his week of 5-star competition. Going to go into 8th place, the time being 37.66, so a lovely smooth and efficient round gets him into a top 10 placing so far. We've got around about 15 combinations still to come. And next up for Ireland is Mark Kinsella. Mark rides Quality H here. You see he has a Spyco Spies logo next to his name. Looks like he might be on their squad for this week's competition. Quality H is a horse that Mark has been competing internationally since June of this year. Jumped this horse in the 5-star Grand Prix in Ottawa back in August. And he also did the 2-star Grand Prix at Traverse City with this horse. The horse formerly with Ben Asselin and ridden by Nikolai Hein-Roos as well in the past. Well, they're a fraction over the time allowed, just over a second over the time allowed, in fact, in the second phase of competition. So for Mark Kinsella and Quality H, it's going to be 2 time penalties in the second phase. Drops him into 22nd place at the moment. Daniel Coyle comes in now with another ride for him. Was he rode Ivory TCS earlier, now rides Quintin, another one for Ariel Grange. This one is a Dutch-bred horse by Caprice Bois Margot, out of an Emilion mare. Nicely down the final line in the first phase. Now heads to fence 8. That's that Major League Oxa for phase 2. Daniel at the moment is 43rd in the Longines World Rankings. Going well with both many of his horses at the moment, with Legacy, with Jeffrey Jardin at the moment. Although Quintin, this 12-year-old, is one that he last competed in the Royal Centennial Cup at the Royal Fair in Toronto for a 7th place finish, 1 fence down. Also had a really good 7th place finish, again just won the fence down in the 5-Star Grand Prix at Ottawa. That performance though was with Hyde Moffat, so new ride for Daniel with Quintin. Daniel picks up 7 in phase 2. He'll go into 32nd place.
And he's around for the USA, Alexis Sokolov. EBSC. Driver joining us from right to Santa Fe.
Alexis Sokolov comes next with Calciat EBZ. Alexis has been really jumping very well at our recent legs. She jumped at San Miguel de Allende, also in Monterrey. In Monterrey, helping her team, the Roadrunners, that home team here in California, to a 4th place finish, though she rode Fasole du Seigneur. Calciat EBZ is one that she's been riding since August of this year. It's been competed by Connor Swale prior to that, and then by Gregory Wathelet of Belgium earlier on as well. Had a really good performance in Traverse City in the 2-phase competition with this horse for 7th place with a good double clear. Doing nicely here so far. Really nice clear round, double clear here for Alexis and Hot Horses LLC's Calciat EBZ. 41.44 is her time, so she's inside the time allowed as well. So she'll go into 18th place. Derek Henny's up next with Volney du Bois de Ville. Of course, he has already brought Chic forward in this competition. Just retiring from the 2nd phase with that horse, but Dara's had some great rounds in recent times in our legs in Monterrey and San Miguel with a number of horses. Rockstar, Great Tequila J, Sangris Boy being the horse he's been campaigning in those recent legs. Volney du Bois de Ville is a 13-year-old stallion by Winning Mood. And unfortunately just has fence 6 down the Major League Oxer, so it's going to be 4 in the first phase for him. But this horse has had 5-star wins in Rome at the Piazza di Siena, also in Wellington earlier on in the year, and has had a fantastic second place in a 5-star Grand Prix in Monaco as well earlier on this year. So again, very much a combination to watch for later on in the week. Another ride now for Caitlin Campbell. Again, she's a rider on the Roadrunners squad. This horse is Kaiser van het Lambroek. This is a 12-year-old by Nabab Derev out of a 4 Pleasure mare. Belgian bred horse, very nicely bred. Certainly on paper has all of the quality and all of the talent needed. She jumped this horse in the World Cup at Las Vegas, just to have the 1 fence down. But it's a new ride. Horse has been ridden by Juan Carlos Garcia previously as well, and by Sean Cassidy as well as Cassio Rivetti. So new ride for Caitlin. It's another lovely double clear, this time for Caitlin Campbell and Kaiser van het Lambroek. That new pairing getting off to a great start. 15th place for them, with a time in the second phase of 40.41 seconds. Tiffany Foster's up next with Hamilton. Owned by the Hamilton Group, this is an 11-year-old German-bred horse by Quadros 3. Tiffany's also been a rider on the Show Plus Northern Lights squad. She's 62nd in the Longines World Rankings at the moment. Just clips fence 6, having a few people clipping the front pole of that fence. So it's going to be 4 in phase 1. She'll finish in 54th place at the moment. That is the result as it stands. Kerry Potter comes next with Ariel La Sirène. horse is a 13-year-old German-bred horse by Arioso du Thiele. Kerry had a great result with this horse recently at Paso Robles in the Two-Star Grand Prix there, placing second. She's also had good wins in Two-Star Grand Prix earlier this season with the horse as well. This has been a very long-term partner for her. She jumped here at Thermal back in January and February of this year in the Three-Star Grand Prix, placing third in January. So it's a venue that has been successful for this combination in the past. But looks like we are going to save this horse for another day, opting to retire. Just 8 combinations to come then now. Tanimara Makari still leads the way with I Beat Chica with that great time of 35 seconds in the second phase. Amy Miller follows in second place with Cristiano with a time of 35.3 in the second phase. And Natalie Dean rounds out the top 3 with Camilla D and a time of 35.9 seconds. Vanessa Mannix will be trying to head towards the top of the leaderboard with Kitting de Hosseur. This is a horse that she owns herself. And this is a Belgian-bred horse by Winning Mood van de Arenberg out of a Thunder van de Zoeterwoude mare. Vanessa, of course, rides for Canada. Unfortunately, just gets a little flat to fence 5 and so just clips the rail with the back legs there. She's been jumping this horse up to 5-star level at Spruce Meadows earlier on this year. Some really good placings, but with the couple of fences down then in phase 1, she will finish with the 8 penalties, and that'll put it into 60th place so far. We have 20 double clears in this competition so far. Clear in phases 1 and phase 2. Of course, if they do not jump clear in phase 1, they can't then progress on to phase 2. And just 7 combinations will be coming forward now. Let's have a slight pause while we wait for our next competitor. Next on our list is Lily Keenan with Agana van het Garandel Z. Here we go then, Lily Keenan, who now rides for the Trailblazers team and of course represents her country, USA, very successfully at the very top level of the sport. Agana van het Garandel Z. This is the horse that she had that fantastic win with at Las Vegas very recently. 2 wins, in fact. She also rode this horse very successfully in Dublin and Dinard and had some nice results in Aachen with this horse as well as in Rome. Lily sits in 87th place in the Longines World Rankings at the moment. And of course went to the World Championships this year in Herning with the horse Argan de Belliard. She's got a great string of horses here this week. And of course also had that brilliant win in the 5-star Grand Prix in Monterey as well in our first week of competition there with Queensland E. Also another rider who just falls foul of fence 6, that Major League Oxer. So it's going to be 1 fence down in phase 1 for her, and she will be over the time allowed as well. But it's a great opportunity to have a spin around this arena and just get a feel for the setting. So it's going to be 10 in total in the first phase for Lily Keenan, and Agana van Het Garandal Z goes into 62nd. Next up, we've got Erin Davis Heineken with NKH Cento Blue. This horse is by Centerdell out of a Chaco Blue mare. And Erin is also on the squad for the Roadrunners team, who of course are the home team here in the Major League Show Jumping Series. Erin's ridden on that team competition several times already this season. She rode on the team at San Miguel de Allende earlier on this season. This horse, though, was ridden by Christian Heineken at Thermal last year. Jumped this horse in the team competition and in the 5-star winning round class as well. Safely flipped through to the second phase. Well, pretty speedy down that final fence for Erin Davis Heineken and NKH Cento Blue. She's going to get home in a time of 39.14 seconds. But a lovely double clear will put her into 13th place. She slots Carl Cook into 14th, and she goes just behind Bliss Hears with Goodbye. Just 0.07 of a second separating those two. On we go then to our penultimate competitor for Ireland. This is Lorcan Gallagher. Lorcan rides Copycat. Lorcan's been competing this horse in Lexington very recently, and then had a good few runs at Traverse City and Lexington earlier on in the year with this horse as well. It's a horse that was previously ridden by Stephanie Holmen of Sweden up until 2021. Well, the bell goes as Lorcan picks up 13 penalties in phase 1 for the Lost Lake Farm LLC's Copycat.
pole remaining in the Amberway Equine 2-phase FBI 5-star competition. To your left, number 159, Alec Lawler, the rider owner from Atherton.
Alec Lawler comes next. He's the penultimate rider on the Roadrunner squad. Riding Fiolita for the Spruit horses. This is a 12-year-old Dutch bred horse by Carambol. Alec's been jumping a couple of different horses in our Major League Show jumping shows very recently. 4 Gold being a horse that he campaigned quite extensively. Violeta, a relatively new one. This is their first international show together. This horse was competed by Michael Grieve of the Netherlands. Up to 5-star level, jumping in top 5-star classes in Valkenswaard, at Nokkehepiek in the Nations Cup, also in 5-star Grand Prix in Rotterdam, the Longines Grand Prix of Switzerland, just to name a few. And this is a very exciting combination. A talented rider and a talented horse now forming their partnership together. And good on the clock as well, so it's another double clear, this time for Alec Lawler and Fiolita. A time of 39.72 goes into 14th place. Well, we only have 3 combinations to come. Next up, we have a representative for Ireland and for Team Helios. Team Helios, of course, who lead the way in the overall season standings. In the Major League Show Jumping team competitions, they have been the most successful, most consistent so far, and Simon McCarthy has been a key part of that. He rides Gotcha in this afternoon's competition. Certainly a combination that you may well want to have on your radar for later on in the week. He rode this horse to help his team to a win in Monterey. Had a little break from the Major League season with this horse and travelled to Lexington, but also jumped very well at Traverse City earlier on this year as well. He was 4th in a 3-star Grand Prix there, but he also jumped on the team for Team Helios in Ottawa and Toronto, as well as Traverse City, helping the team to a win there. Simon's also a rider to watch in the 2-star competitions. He's got a couple of very good 2-star horses here. Really nicely down the final line. The time's very good actually, 36.22. Just kept things really efficient round those turns. Kept all the fences up, and so with 36.22 seconds in the second phase, Simon McCarthy slots into 4th place. That is the most recent shake-up in the leaderboard that we've had. We haven't had any for a little while. Simon McCarthy showing us just how it's done. Carl King comes next. He's also a rider for the Roadrunners, and he rides Etalon. He had a great win with this horse in Monterey in one of our 5-star jump-off classes, and in fact had 2 wins in Monterey in consecutive weeks with this very horse. The equivalent competition to those will be coming up tomorrow, so do keep an eye on those. Remember, the action does not stop tonight, and it very much is still all to play for tomorrow. We've got 2 top 5-star competitions tomorrow, one at 10 o'clock in the morning and one at 1 in the afternoon, both of those being local time here in California. Saturday we'll see the 2-star Grand Prix and then the team competition. On Sunday sees the 5-star winning round class at 9 o'clock in the morning, and then the 5-star Grand Prix at 1 in the afternoon. Carl King very much one to watch. He retires though in the second phase, gets the clear in phase 1 but retires in phase 2, and we just have one combination yet to come. That combination will be Eric Crowett, who rides for Canada, and Cactus de Cosnier, this 10-year-old, owned by Montserrat Hernandez Gomez. This horse is by Paddock Duplessis, and is a French-bred horse. French-bred gelding. They jumped very well in the Challenge Cup, the Nations Cup show at the Youth Nations Cup final show in Kronenberg. Eric is 126th in the FEI Jumping Under 25 rankings at the moment. Jumped in the Young Rider category at the FEI North American Youth Championships this year to a team bronze. He also has a team silver from the junior category last year and a team gold in the children's category in 2018. Very, very talented young rider, now very ably stepping up to the 5-star level. Cactus de Cosnier, great partner for him. Nicely down the final line. He's just inside the time allowed as well. Perfectly timed in a time of 41.33 seconds in phase 2. So it's going to be 21st place for Eric Crowett and Cactus de Cosnier. Well, he was indeed our final competitor in this opening 5-star competition, this 5-star 2-phase class. 73 combinations have come forward, and here is your final leaderboard. Tanamara Makari is your winner with IB Chica with a time of 35 seconds in phase 2. Amy Miller comes second with Cristiano. He's followed by Natalie Dean with Camilla D in third. Simon McCarthy, a late shake-up to the leaderboard, is going to be in fourth place with Gotcha. Erin Ballard and Gakir will be fifth. Sean Jobin with Darius takes the 6th spot. Luis Sabino Gonçalves with Vic Ducroissy comes 7th. Rupert Carl Winkelmann with Conrad 155 will take the 8th spot. Alberta Michan will be 9th with Nabal de Trevera, and Amy Miller, our second place rider, will also round out the top 10 with her other ride, Truman. They are your top 10. The arena will just be prepared for the presentation now, but it is absolutely all to play for throughout this week. So just to recap for you once again, do join us tomorrow for 2 more 5-star competitions, one being at 10 o'clock in the morning and one at 1 p.m. Both of those being local time. Saturday sees the 2-star Grand Prix And the team competition, the 9th of 10 legs of Major League Show Jumping in that team contest. Sunday then sees the 5-star winning round class and the 5-star Grand Prix take place. That will be at 1 p.m. local time. Team competition kicking off at 2 p.m. Don't miss a minute. Of course, you can watch all of the action live on MLSJ TV. And you can also rewatch all of these competitions on MajorLeagueShowJumping.com. You can also head to the YouTube channel to rewatch all of these competitions. I will leave you with the prize giving, but do join us again tomorrow for those 2 exciting 5-star classes.
We're bringing our top placings back in the ring for these presentations from the Amberway Equine, our 2-phase competition. And starting us off, our CSI 5-star week. 3rd place, and that is Natalie Dean for the USA aboard Camilla D. 2nd place went to the rider for Canada. That is Amy Miller, Cristiano. 2-star speed this morning, winning the five-star speed of the five-star two-phase competition. That is Santa Mara, Maria Macari, and IB Chica. What an amazing rider! Amazing rider representing Mexico. Ladies and gentlemen, in order to honor our champion, we'd ask you to please rise for the playing of the national anthem of Mexico. What an amazing rider there for Mexico. Tanamara Maria Macari taking home top spot in the 2-star competition this morning, now in the 5-star competition this afternoon. Aboard IB Chica. Great thanks to our wonderful sponsor, Amberway Equine. We offer top quality products, construction management, and owners representation for barns and arenas. Whatever you may need for your barn, Amberway Equine is ready to help with every step from conception and design to installation. For more information, visit them online, amberwayequine.com. And just one more thing to do, and that is to ask our champion. Back-to-back wins here in the beautiful grass stadium. That is our rider from Mexico to lead our field in our victory ride. And Tanamara, Maria Macari, and IB Chica. That rider, what a great rider for Mexico. Back
We have a new